me, it's just hatred towards this young lady. Only thing she's doing, like you said, is out here. She's playing the game of basketball, and she's having fun doing it.
I love her game. A lot like Steph. She reminds me of Steph Curry a lot. You know?
Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
Caitlin Clark has taken the basketball world by storm. Her electrifying skills and fearless play have captivated fans, analysts, and legends alike. No WNBA player before her has sparked such widespread admiration and debate among NBA legends, the very players who have set the standard for greatness in the sport. The fact that they are now reflecting on Caitlin's impact speaks volumes about her significance in the sport today. From her record-breaking performances to her unmatched skills on the court, Caitlin Clark is changing the game and inspiring the next generation of WNBA stars. But not everyone is celebrating her meteoric rise. Many have doubted, criticized, and even tried to bring her down. However, two legends have had enough of the negativity. Michael Jordan and Larry Bird have decided to speak out, and their words will undoubtedly shift the narrative. Stay tuned for what these two basketball icons have to say about Caitlin Clark's incredible journey. One of the biggest stars of his era was Allen Iverson. He was a gigantic icon that completely changed the landscape of the league, like Caitlin Clark is doing now. They were both popular even in their college career and went into the pro leagues with massive pressure on their shoulders. They lived up to the big expectations and changed the game for good. They may not have been the most physically imposing players, like most top prospects in history, but they could impose their will through their elite skills. Allen Iverson became the #1 idol for many kids growing up. His killer crossover had the league stunned. It took years before the NBA caught up to his face-up, ball-handling style of play that was inspired by hooping in the streets. Many young girls look up to Caitlin Clark in the same way today. They emulate her moves to be more like her. Allen Iverson sees this talent as well. He has stated in a short interview what it is about Caitlin Clark that makes her such a game-changer for the league. He took the time to highlight her special set of skills and mindset towards the game of basketball.
Man, shoot the blood out of the ball. You know what I mean? I never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? And then just how aggressive she is, you know, and not just scoring the basketball, getting her teammates involved as well. I think she's so great for the game. You know what I mean? It was a pleasure watching her, and I just think down the road, she's going to only get better.
It's no surprise where Allen Iverson's priorities go in terms of how to praise Caitlin Clark. He is quick to give her the credit she deserves as an amazing offensive engine, because that's also how he played during his peak years. They were both given the majority of the scoring responsibility for their respective teams immediately as they came into the league. The aggression that Allen Iverson mentions is something that is required from that role. The attribute that allows an offensive initiator to be an all-time great is their elite playmaking ability. That is something that comes naturally to Caitlin Clark, even while she's the least experienced player on her team. These types of players are floor raisers. They make everyone around them better through their gravity and their unselfishness. Iverson was able to carry a team of lackluster offensive talent into the NBA Finals from his singular ability to score at will. Let's see what Caitlin will be able to do during her prime. Allen Iverson said that she will only keep getting better down the road, so there's no doubt she will learn how to raise her team's floor even higher. Hopefully, the Indiana Fever find a way to build the right pieces of role players around Caitlin Clark so she can get into the bigger stages that Iverson was able to get to. Because Iverson was an incredible crowd pleaser, the fans loved how often he was able to generate jaw-dropping highlights on the court. That's another similarity he shared with Caitlin Clark. These players are always worth the price of admission and constantly find themselves in the limelight. However, for Iverson, that came with a lot of negative media coverage as well. On the other hand, Caitlin Clark comes across as very media savvy for her age. She's kept a classy and cool composure in every interview so far. She's always said the right things and finds a way to keep out of much controversy. This is something that's caught the eye of another NBA legend, Charles Barkley. It was a no-brainer since he's now more known for his expertise in media. He's been covering the NBA through media for more than 2 decades by now. He knows a thing or two about picking out the right words to say during press conferences and interviews. Not to mention, he was also an NBA All-Star for many years. That means that he can come at this from the NBA star's perspective. He's had his fair share of media controversies throughout his NBA career, but he has definitely learned to polish his on-screen act now and has solidified himself as a beloved figure by fans and networks alike. He is impressed by how Caitlin Clark is able to do this already. It's a difficult balancing act for an athlete, but she has handled it very well.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, Two things I like. She's playing much faster, much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
From the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been worded for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no straight. She came straight out of college.
Caitlin Clark succeeds in every aspect of the game, both inside and out, due to her exceptional attitude towards her work. She faced immense pressure from fans and franchises and exceeded all expectations. She took the hits from her competitors and proved herself tougher than them. Most impressively, she has continued to improve throughout the season. She has quickly learned to outplay her peers in the WNBA, which is no easy task given the significant differences between college basketball and the professional WNBA system. The physical demands of the WNBA take a toll on a player's body in ways that fans often can't see or even imagine. This is especially true for Caitlin Clark, given the added physicality that opposing teams direct at her. The only way to withstand this is through diligent physical preparation, allowing her to absorb the hits throughout the long WNBA season. This aspect of her game has been a pleasant surprise for fans, as she was initially seen as a supreme talent without extraordinary physical traits. Dominance can come in all shapes and sizes. Shaquille O'Neal is often referred to as the most dominant basketball player to ever play the game, and Shaq himself says there's no debate needed on that. He has also said that Steph Curry is his favorite current player in the NBA. Despite the vast difference in their physical traits and style of play, they recognize each other's greatness. Shaq feels the same way about Caitlin Clark. He has praised Caitlin's greatness on Angel Reese's podcast, Unapologetically Angel, despite Caitlin being Angel's biggest rival. He spoke about Caitlin's dominance despite her physical frame, comparing it to Steph Curry's. According to Shaq, both Caitlin and Steph ushered in a new kind of spectacle to their respective leagues, something audiences had never seen before. This, Shaq believes, is what drives a league to success.
Why do you think people love Caitlin Clark besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like Steph Curry, I love, you know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. I've seen it a little bit in Mahmoud Abdul-Roh, but I've never seen a guy consistently come down. And if you look at, like if you saw Steph on the street, he ain't got the LeBron muscles. He's not 6'9", he's 6'10". He look like a perfect, normally office guy.
Yeah.
He's doing stuff that people never seen before. She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis.
A lot of interesting insights came out of Shaq's discussion. First, there was the acknowledgement that Caitlin Clark can do things no other WNBA player has done before. Even Angel Reese herself admits this. However, Angel's response seemed to downplay Caitlin's abilities, reducing it to, she can shoot threes from the logo, but that is genuinely an amazing feat and a mind-blowing spectacle for the fans. It is also a skill. It took a lot of hard work to master that shot, so it must be credited as a skill as well. Shaq knows that this ability is what has been drawing new WNBA fans into the arenas. It's also a bit of a dig at Angel Reese, who has vocally expressed her belief that Caitlin Clark isn't the only one pulling audiences to the games. Angel must have been hiding a lot of jealousy after Shaq's comments, as she does not possess the ability to shoot from long range with efficiency. It's clear that Shaq also believes Caitlin Clark is carrying the popularity of the WNBA. Michael Jordan has finally broken his silence on Caitlin Clark, and he didn't hold back. The WNBA owes Caitlin a great deal for what she's done for the game, MJ said. Jordan didn't stop there. He called for a complete overhaul in officiating, emphasizing, the refs have been blatantly unfair to Caitlin, and it's time the league steps up and makes it right. His words resonate powerfully. The WNBA must not only acknowledge Caitlin's impact, but also ensure she receives the respect she deserves, both from her peers and from the officials on the court. It's not every day that the greatest of all time steps in to defend a player, and Jordan's comments make it clear that Caitlin is a game changer, one whose contributions cannot be ignored any longer. The rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has fueled this newfound popularity in the WNBA. It's a dynamic reminiscent of the early decades of the NBA. In the 1970s, the NBA had barely enough viewers to warrant live televised games, a far cry from the massive media industry it is today. What changed was the arrival of two transcendent prospects who were marketed as fierce rivals. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird faced off in the NCAA tournament finals, breaking viewership records and sparking new interest in the sport. Similarly, the women's basketball NCAA tournament broke records in viewership, sparking a media frenzy and a new craze over women's basketball, driven by the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. As the two entered the league at the same time, the WNBA experienced a similar surge in new viewers, reminiscent of the NBA's growth in the 1980s. In this regard, people have been referring to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark as the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird of the WNBA. The comparison has become so popular that even Magic Johnson himself has chimed in. Unsurprisingly, he agrees with the comparison. He also sees the potential for Caitlin Clark to become the greatest player in the league.
Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best later on by our play. Caitlin still has to play great to become the best WNBA player.
Magic Johnson has been an avid supporter of the WNBA for a while now. He's the owner of the Los Angeles Sparks. It looks like he has always believed that the WNBA will make its way to becoming a popular and thriving business someday, just like the NBA. Nowadays, his prediction is looking good. He spoke about the rise of the popularity in the WNBA in respect to the spectacle and rivalry of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. He has compared it to him and Larry Bird. This is what he said. One can now hope that the WNBA will undergo the same positive changes that the NBA experienced. Financially, it's starting to come together, and we're already seeing the benefits. The change in gameplay was also a huge factor that Magic and Bird brought to the NBA. With Caitlin Clark being on a massively elevated tier of skill compared to most WNBA players, it's likely her talent will influence how other players train and how teams design their playstyles. When Magic Johnson entered the NBA, he revolutionized offenses with his incredible talent and basketball IQ, quickly establishing himself as the league's best point guard, a legacy that still stands today. Caitlin Clark could have a similar impact on the WNBA. When people say point guard, there's one name that stands above all others: Chris Paul. He is considered the ideal version of a traditional point guard, dissecting defenses with his scoring ability and advanced playmaking instincts. This is similar to how Caitlin Clark is dismantling WNBA defenses today. There was a passing of the torch moment when Chris Paul reflected on Caitlin Clark's Rookie of the Year campaign, comparing it to his own many years ago. They've also built some camaraderie through their mutual endorsement of State Farm. The company even asked Chris Paul to send a message congratulating Caitlin on winning Rookie of the Year.
And a few of the things that I learned coming from one Rookie of the Year to another, even though mine was 19 years ago, one of the biggest things after winning Rookie of the Year, because that's a big deal, first of all. That's a huge achievement and you should be proud. But going forward, I think the biggest thing I tried to focus on was getting stronger. I wanted to get stronger, I wanted to get faster, I wanted to be better on defense. But more than anything, I tell you, the biggest people that I leaned on was my family, my support system.
There is that concern again with Caitlin's physical training that any basketball player is familiar with. It's nice that Chris Paul also gave advice on the mental and emotional toll that being a young basketball prodigy takes on an athlete. You can sense that Chris Paul truly respects Caitlin Clark and wants her to succeed in her career in the long run. He goes on to say more to celebrate her award.
What you did this past season was crazy. Most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Most assists by a rookie in WNBA history. 3-time Eastern Conference Player of the Week. 4-time WNBA Rookie of the Month. I could go on and on. So shout out to you, Caitlin. It's been amazing to watch you hoop day in and day out. Not just to see the behind the back going left threes from deep, but more so just to see the passion and the joy that you play with and to see the way that you make your teammates better. So I just want to say congratulations.
Chris Paul lists off some impressive achievements within Clark's Rookie of the Year campaign. There is a lot there that she must be proud of. He even shouted out specific moves that Caitlin does on the court. Chris Paul sounds like he's genuinely a big fan of Clark. It's impossible not to be after Caitlin's constant flurry of impressive accolades and highlights from her rookie year alone. She's following the footsteps of the most popular basketball prospects who have come into the league in a big way. Many would say LeBron and Jordan were the biggest prospects who completely changed the game, but there is a big name people have been forgetting today. Julius Erving, or Dr. J, was probably the most popular basketball player to ever enter a new league. This is because he played in the ABA beforehand. He was the face of the league as soon as he dropped into the NBA. His celebrity status at that point was unmatched. He's also given his take on Caitlin Clark. This was during the time when she was snubbed from the women's basketball Olympic team. He reassures her and her fans that this situation isn't all bad. This is what he said. I think that she's probably going to be a part of the next 3 Olympic teams, and 3 would be plenty because there's risk associated with being a part of this particular Olympic team. So, slow your roll a little bit. She's doing commercials, she's doing things that are making a difference in the game, and she's been tremendous. She'll make an even greater difference if she's allowed to let things happen when it's supposed to happen. Dr. J knows that a basketball career is long and can take many different turns. His career was like that, so his advice for Caitlin is to relax a bit. She's already achieved so much in only her first year, and she will no doubt get the opportunity to do even more things in the future. He also hinted that there are more things for Caitlin Clark to do outside of the WNBA, and even more so to accomplish outside of just basketball. Julius Erving embodied this as well as he became an all-around celebrity and culture setter during his playing days. Celebrity culture often comes with being a great player. Vince Carter is another great example from the modern era. He built a new basketball culture in Toronto when he was drafted by the Raptors in the 90s. Like Dr. J and Caitlin Clark, Vince Carter was a huge fan favorite and was called the human highlight reel. His highlights were seen everywhere during his playing days, making him the marquee player at his peak. He now refers to Caitlin as the marquee player for the WNBA as well. This helps explain all of the hate and hardship that's being directed her way.
I know a lot of people have been hating on Caitlin.
This is what happens to a rookie.
Yeah.
This is what happens to a rookie. This is what happens to the marquee player.
Vince Carter's legendary run as the #1 Toronto basketball icon and marquee player was littered with plenty of hardship as well. This brought out real struggles in his game. He also recognized all of the rookie hazing that is happening to Caitlin Clark. That is what happens to every rookie, especially the most popular ones.
You got to earn your stripes, and remember this. I say this all the time. This is not I say this understanding NIL is what it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But when you go to the professional world and you're in competition against other professionals who are trying to feed their family,
mortgage
It'll
payments.
give you the business.
What?
Every time.
I got to feed my family.
And they not about to let you look good. You're not about to look
player,
good.
well, guess what? I need to make my name. I need to do my thing against you.
It's a professional league now, and that makes all the difference from her college playing days. There are much larger stakes. These stakes will only become greater as the league gets more coverage, and Caitlin starts playing in games with more pressure. Everyone will be out to get her during those situations. The competition that she is facing now is exponentially greater than what she's seen ever before in college. There are a few examples of players who have seamlessly made the transition from dominating in college to dominating in the professional leagues. Caitlin is one of them. Magic Johnson is one of them. And we heard about what he had to say on the matter. But there's a reason why Magic Johnson did not end up winning Rookie of the Year. That's because he also came into the professional league with his rival Larry Bird. Larry Bird orchestrated one of the most legendary franchise turnarounds with the Boston Celtics in the ADS. Similar to Caitlin Clark, he was an MVP candidate from the get-go. He continued to have a legendary career and broke the game of basketball in every year he played. He was able to win many MVPs and many NBA championship titles. There is another reason he is compared with Caitlin Clark often. It's not just the rivalry and the instantaneous rookie greatness. Their play style and skills completely warped the nature of the sport. They spaced the floor more than anyone in their era. Their playmaking fooled every rudimentary defense against them. Moreover, this is the dominance they were showing in their college career as well. Larry Bird was notably born and raised in French Lick, Indiana. That's the state where Caitlin Clark now plays for with the Indiana Fever. Larry Bird started his early career playing for Indiana State University. He ended up coaching and becoming the general manager of the Indiana Pacers. Larry Bird clearly shows a lot of pride in his home state. He still loves basketball now and loves watching Caitlin Clark. He's such a fan that he's even watched her Iowa college games as much as his beloved Indiana State.
I think I watched Indiana State and Iowa. Caitlin Clark play about the same last year, so I watched a lot of basketball.
Caitlin Clark's incredible game is undeniable to any fan of basketball. Indiana and their unparalleled love for the sport of basketball deserve these great basketball icons playing for them. Caitlin Clark will continue to build a legacy like Larry Bird did as soon as he stepped foot into the professional league. Many similarities can be observed between the two players. Even Larry Bird recognizes greatness when he sees it. Caitlin Clark has captivated the basketball world with her talent, competitiveness, and dedication to the game. Even the greatest NBA legends can't hide their admiration for Caitlin's abilities, as she is already making a lasting impact on the WNBA and beyond. While her journey is just getting started, the praise from these basketball legends shows that Caitlin is poised to reshape the future of women's basketball. Just as Magic Johnson and Larry Bird elevated the NBA into the phenomenon it is today, Caitlin Clark is primed to do the same for women's basketball, creating new possibilities for the next generation of players. Caitlin Clark is on track to cement her legacy as one of the greatest to ever play the game. She'll become just like the basketball legends who are enamored with her rapid rise. More heads will turn to proclaim her greatness as she continues to blaze her trail into basketball legend status.